Hello and welcome to this week's rundown. Each week we look at the games happening here in England in the WSL and all across Europe. Each week we look at one game in more depth. This week sees us head to the Emirates Stadium as Arsenal play host to North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur. So far there's been over 48,000 tickets sold for this game, and if that does happen it will be a new WSL record for attendance in England, which is an absolutely fantastic sign to see. Now, both teams got off to winning starts last weekend. On Friday, Arsenal put 4 past Brighton and Hove Albion, whilst on Sunday, Rhian Skinner's side beat Leicester City 2-1. Last time out between the two sides was back in May when Arsenal won 3-0 in a rescheduled fixture thanks to a Caitlin Ford brace once again at the Emirates Stadium. So if we look into likely team news heading into this weekend's game between the two sides, I'm expecting Arsenal to be a pretty much same side that played last week against Brighton. Obviously Arsenal have played in midweek in their Champions League qualifier against Ajax, a game which they ended up drawing 2-2, so that's a little bit disappointing for Jonas Ardavel's side as they look to make it into the Champions League group stage. But if we look not at that game but last Friday against Brighton and Hove Albion, the team news was Manuela Zinsberger in goal, a back four of Katie McCabe, Rafaeli Souza, Leah Williamson and Laura Wienreuther, Kim Little and Leah Volti as the defensive midfielders. The attacking players, you had Caitlin Ford, Viviana Miedema and Beth Mead, and then Stina Blackstenius leading the line from the top. Again, I would expect that to be pretty much the same lineup for Jonas Ardavel this weekend, barring any late minute injuries heading into Friday's training and on Saturday in the warm-up or during the match itself. I would expect that lineup to be pretty much the same. Where Spurs, there's obviously, we don't know the latest injury news on Rosella Ayana after she had to leave the game against Leicester City early after just 16 minutes. Rhian Skinner hasn't done a pre-match press conference as of the time of recording, so we don't know whether Rosella Ayana is going to be fit for that. But if she's not, then I would expect the lineup to be Rebecca Spencer in goal, Shalina Zadorsky, Molly Bartrup and Amy Turner in the back three, Ashley Neville, Drew Spence, Angahara Jones and Asmita Arle in the midfield, with Jessica Naz, Evelina Summerman and Ellie Brazil on the left hand side if Ayan isn't fit enough to start. Obviously if Rosella Ayan is fit enough to start, then I would imagine her to start ahead of Brazil, just because Brazil is getting used to this Tottenham team after being one of their summer signings. But this should be a cracking game to watch on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 here in England, so make sure you check your local timings. Obviously if you're in Europe it's just plus 1 hour. And that game, if you're here in England, is available to watch on BBC One and the BBC iPlayer. Obviously elsewhere it's available to watch on the FA player, so that is going to be one of the fantastic games here in England this weekend. Another one we have is the Merseyside derby, which finishes off this weekend's fixtures on Sunday at 6:45 PM. That will be on the Sky Sports football channels. Liverpool versus Everton. Fantastic game taking place at Anfield. Obviously Liverpool got off to a perfect start last weekend, beating defending champions Chelsea 2-1, whilst Everton lost 1-0 to West Ham United, so they'll be looking to get their first win under manager Brian Sorensen, and hopefully no bigger and no greater occasion could come than picking up your first 3 points in a Merseyside derby. Another big game we have to look forward to is the game before that, again on the Sky channels, is Chelsea versus Manchester City. Now both teams will be looking to get their first victory of the season. Obviously, like I just mentioned, Chelsea lost to newly promoted Liverpool, whilst Manchester City lost to Aston Villa 4-3 last weekend. So obviously Emma Hayes' side will want to get their title defence off to a better start this week than they did last week against Liverpool. And Manchester City, for me, there's quite a bit of problems to look at in terms of how they dealt with the press of Aston Villa. Can Chelsea exploit that? I think they can do. I don't think it would be as high scoring game as that one last week, but I do expect Chelsea to be able to exploit Manchester City trying to play it out from the back very occasionally. And then the other 3 games taking place this weekend see Brighton and Hove Albion play host to Reading at 2 PM UK time, West Ham versus Manchester United and Leicester City versus Aston Villa both kicking off at 3 PM. So some fantastic games here in England this weekend to look forward to, and definitely very exciting to have this amount of good fixtures this early on in the season. Now let's have a look at the games happening across in Europe. On Friday in the Netherlands, we have 3 of the 4 games taking place this week, as Ajax versus Telstar has been rearranged for a later date. So the games that are taking place on Friday are FC Twente versus PEC Zwolle, Excelsior Amsterdam versus ADO Den Haag, and Heerenveen versus VV Alkmaar, and then Fortuna Sittard play Feyenoord on Sunday. Over in Germany this weekend, we have just the one game on Friday as Bayer Leverkusen play FC Cologne, with Hoffenheim playing Wolfsburg in the only Saturday fixture, with the rest of the games taking place on Sunday. So Bayern Munich play host to Werder Bremen on Sunday lunchtime. Over in France, we have 2 games on Friday. Montpellier play host to Lyon, and Paris FC play Le Havre, with 3 of the other 4 fixtures taking place on Saturday, and the final game on Sunday being PSG versus Fleury 91. Over in Spain this weekend, there is no Friday night games, but we do have Saturday fixtures. We obviously have Real Sociedad versus Real Betis, Valencia versus Sevilla. On Sunday, we have Barcelona travelling to Villarreal on late afternoon, early evening. Real Madrid travelling to Granadilla Tenerife, obviously on the back of their Champions League win in midweek, which is a very good win for them. And Atletico Madrid playing Alaves in the early morning or late morning kickoff there in Spain. And then finally in Italy, we have the games that are taking place: 3 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Sassuolo versus Juventus and Parma versus AC Milan are the Saturday fixtures, with Pomigliano versus Como and Sampdoria versus Inter Milan on Sunday. And I apologise there, we have 3 Saturday, 2 Sunday, as Roma have taken on Fiorentina on Saturday. So they are this weekend's games here in England and obviously in mainland Europe. We'll be back on Monday with the recap to look back at that North London derby and all the other games taking place this weekend across football. And until then, make sure you like, comment and subscribe with the post notification bell turned on so you never miss a video of ours, and that you are following us on Instagram and on Twitter for all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. And until next time, we'll see you soon.